Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, update number 4 on the journey of the, Bleed Crossbow Blood Mage. Taking advantage of the Blood Barb's node, elemental damage also contributes to bleeding magnitude, and therefore making elemental damage able to inflict bleeding as well, not only just physical damage. It's been a rough ride so far, and it kind of continues to be a rough ride, but I think this is just the nature of the current patch of Path of Exile 2. They are addressing a lot of things right now. They are trying to rescue the game more or less, but a lot of damage has been done to the community. You can see videos everywhere how unhappy almost everybody is with the current state of the game, but it is what it is, not gonna change anything. Sometimes I'm actually wondering, like, is my build actually performing well compared to others? Then I open other videos and I'm like, wait, I have more single target, I have more damage, my clear is better, besides the current meta, which seems to be Lightning Strike. But regardless, I kept on farming, and the changes that they have done to the Atlas, I think, do have a bit of a negative aspect. I mean, I really like this new tower system and stuff like that. But in the end of the day, what I'm currently doing is trying to finish my Atlas. That means that I wanna. I don't even know which hotkey that was. Atlas skill tree. So I've done now 10 of 40 points, and there is a lot of power in these nodes, especially later on with like Breach and Expedition and stuff like that, Ritual. So you want to like keep on grinding all of this stuff, finish all your quests, and then eventually get your points to progress, or at least start farming currency effectively, basically. And honestly, I gotta say, I streamed like 8 hours or something yesterday. I started in T1 maps or T2 maps, and now I'm at like T6 maps, right? So what I'm doing right now is basically just trying to find corrupted areas to progress my Atlas. And at the moment, there is like not a single corrupted area around me. So in the previous iteration of the patch, it was more like, hey, finish, I don't know, like 6 T2 maps and then 7 T3 maps or something like that, and you get your points passively. Now with the change to the tree, I actually have to find corrupted zones. So here is another corrupted zone. So this is basically the next way that I'm going to approach. And trying to find this nexus and then run a magic T6 map, and then the quest says me we need to go and farm T7 maps, but that also means that I have to find a new corrupted zone, and sometimes it takes me like 10-15 maps to even find a corrupted zone, to then run another 5 maps to get to the nexus and then like complete that thing, right? But as of right now, I feel like just for me, I'm not really using the towers. The tablets that I have are not really good, because a lot of like tablet drop chance and stuff like that is hidden behind the passive tree. So basically, I do like the Alk and Go kind of like style, and just trying to finish my Atlas, and currently on the way to tier 6. When it comes to the build, there has been a few changes that I've done. Mainly, I upgraded now my Explosive Shot to a 6-link and my Plasma Blast to a 4-link. I swapped the gems around a little bit, also using new gems like Concoct with the Flask Charges will give you now Bleeding Magnitude and so on. So basically, the clearing is still okay-ish. The single target, I'm still able to one-shot bosses this way. But I gotta say, there is like some differences between how the Plasma Blast worked in 0.1 compared to 0.2. Mainly, if you were having like additional bolts or scatter shot and stuff like that, you get the additional projectiles on Plasma Blast. And what happened basically, once you like load it up, let's say you have 3 projectiles, then it was like shooting 1, 2, 3 beams. Why is this good for this build? Basically, you have like a pretty wide range of damage. Let's say like 100 to 500 damage, right? It's gonna be more, but just in theory. And when you get 3 shots off back to back, the chances of hitting one of those 3 shots to be a high damage roll that inflicts a very high bleeding was really, really good. Because at the end of the day, roll ranges just mean sometimes you do like, let's say 5 million damage for a total bleed, but sometimes you can also do 10 million with the same kind of like bleed. So you want to make sure that the Plasma Blast you're loading off is basically hitting a high value. And you could do things like that with, as I said, the triple shot on Plasma Blast, or something like the Lightning Rod when it was your non-critical strikes are lucky. So There were like many changes or things where you could fish for a high bleed. This is now basically gone, which makes me wonder if the loads and additional bolt crossbow is actually a thing anymore. Yes, we have additional shots based on explosive arrow and stuff like that, or explosive shot, but at the end of the day, what bothers me the most right now is basically the reload time and the attack speed. The attack speed will basically tell me how long I need to charge up my shot to actually release it, and with the current meta of, or at least with the current game state where everything, if it just looks at you, stuns you out of your animation of like loading up your plasma blast, makes me not want to use the skill at all. At least only for bosses, and the rest of the map I'm basically clearing with explosive shot, and that's why I decided to get the explosive shot on a 6-link first over the plasma blast, because as I said, my damage for single target is quite good. And since almost every boss in the game has a role play, means you can just run into the boss area, load up your shot, and then move forward, proc your momentum, and then you just wait, you know, bosses having some sentences or respawning or whatever, and then you release the shot and basically one-shot the boss. This is how it works, but it doesn't really have any effect like Plasma Blast itself when it comes to the mapping aspect. Before we talk about the upgrades, let's run a map real quick. Let me see if I have a map with a boss so I can showcase that as well, because I was just about to go for the next Corrupted Zone, but I see there is like no bosses over here, so I guess, what is this? Ravine, doesn't really matter too much. A map that isn't like insanely big would be nice. Any other bosses over here? Doesn't seem. What is this? A backwash. Yeah, it's just a boss. So we're gonna load up this tier 6 map so you can see how the gameplay feels like right now. We're basically only using explosive shot, and I'm still using the scatter shot on my explosive shot together with, fork and nimble reload, because the reload time, as I said before, a 1.1 reload time, even with the nimble reload, even if I spec into the crossbow reloading, it takes a while. And I saw a lot of crossbows that don't have the additional bolt, but therefore a reload time of like 0.7 is a baseline, which then gets reduced by the skill points. I think this is like, should feel a lot better. So a different base, for just more speed. It might have a little bit less damage, but it's totally fine just because of the nature of having a good time, the quality of life aspect. So I'm super fine with like dealing like 10% less damage if I reload faster and just overall have a better feeling about the build. But as you see, it's just like you shoot one time and that basically kills off the monster. Let me quickly see how much bleed duration do we have. Bleeding duration like 5 seconds. So once I hit something, it's usually just dies out if it doesn't die on the on-hit. Then another fact that I'm kind of wondering, how valuable is Herald of Blood? And yes, if there is many monsters, it kind of looks cool with all these like bleeding explosions going off, but the thing though is, it doesn't really do a lot of damage in the first place. And secondly, the monsters, as you see here, they are dying, then they fall on the ground, and then afterwards they basically explode, which kind of means that they are never really hitting an enemy, more or less. And if we would say, hey, we have like 100 monsters on my screen, it's still like mostly you're gonna kill off the monsters before the explosion even happens. Not like Herald of Ice, where the explosion basically happened instant. So here's another big rare. We could basically use the Bloodhound's Mark to basically stun it almost instantly. And I'm thinking about maybe having a spear in the main hand or offhand to use this basically bleeding finisher move. Just, you know, maybe as a right click. And when you see, because we're building up a shit ton of blood loss, as you see, so now I could basically just right click and finish off the monster with, I think, Bloodhound or something like that. So this is something that we could think about doing after all. Other changes to the build. I know exactly how I want to make the build tankier. Basically going into an evasion energy style, maybe later on with the maybe we replace Herald of Thunder or Herald of Blood. We're gonna see about that. And going into Ghost Shrouds and then take a hybrid evasion, energy shield base, so we basically have hybrid life, dude. This is what I mean, dude. You're just getting stun locked non-stop, and it's kind of like annoying. And as I said, later on, this is most likely not going to be a problem because we're going to have, like, I don't know, 70%, 80% evasion. We're going to have, like, a 2000 energy shield with the overflowing life and stuff like that. So all of these things shouldn't be an issue once we farmed up some currency and actually invested into the build. Let me quickly finish off this rear over here. Like, the scatter shot with explosive shot, it helps with the clearing, so I ran like 1 or 2 maps without scatter shot. The damage is better, but don't forget, as I was explaining before, with the bleed rolls, this time, like, we're shooting 3 explosive shots, and if one of those 3 is hitting a high roll, we inflict a way bigger bleed than just shooting 1 single time. On top of that, the additional forks, the additional projectiles overall, just makes the build feel to clear a lot better. And even though the scatter shot gives me like 20% less damage, at the end of the day, even though we're having 20% less damage, if the bleed with the 3 shots is hitting a high roll, that might still be better, whatever that shit was. It should still feel better than just having 1 shot and inflict like a low bleed and you just continuously shooting at the enemy. But now, this is like the thing. Now my map showcase would technically be done because I just talked about how the build functions. You saw some gameplay. Now I need to like find the boss, and don't ask me where it is. It's probably like, you know, like 10 minutes walking to the top side that we can show some bossing showcase, I guess. But yeah. In terms of currency, let's talk about that. So I'm making probably just with like mapping. I don't know if you have seen all these like abuses with ritual, where what the f is this boss, man? Okay, we dropped something. I guess he died on the bleed, but holy shit, man, that was actually awful. The Uber Pinnacle Essence. We all know it from PoE 1. God damn it. But hey, happens. I would just like literally like to fast forward so we can just you know, show some bossing, but first I need to find the stupid boss. Oh yeah, so we were talking about currency. Without abusing anything, without playing the market, without turning my gold into exalt and stuff like that, just with like pure mapping, and that's about it. I'm probably making, I'd say like a divine a day. It could be a little bit more based on the exalts because I still invest into the character. Let's say like 3 divines a day, but it's still like nowhere close where I needed the currency to be. But in the other hand, you know, it's still like very early in the league. Everybody is like having a rough time. It took like way longer to actually get through the campaign, and now with the struggle, oh, here's the boss, I guess. With the struggle of actually gaining through the Atlas, because just think about it, if I need like 15 maps in average to find a Nexus, and I need to do this like 15 times, is like hundreds of maps that I need to do just in order to get all my passive points. So we're gonna go into Plasma Blast, we're gonna use the emergency reload, get somewhere to proc the boss. It's over here, so we just go to the side, load up the shot, the momentum procced. So let's hope for a high roll bleed over here. And that's what I mean with the roleplay of bosses. So we release the shot, and as you saw, boss is dead. So that is still, like, single target wise, it's not bad. And I just assume once we have like more currency, and as once we go over the gear, I'm gonna showcase or at least talk about the upgrades that I would like to do, which items I want to have in which spots, and so on and so forth, to make this build like an end game blaster, which I'm still thinking this is going to be the case. Upgrade-wise, we do have a new pair of gloves. I just searched specifically for corrupted gloves with 2 sockets, just with life and resistance. And I put in 2 of the new soul cores or talismans, wolf talisman, that gives you 10% bleeding magnitude. So 20% bleeding magnitude is quite a nice of damage increase. The rest of the gear is pretty much the same. Path of building is in the description below as always, just like from the yesterday's perspective. But overall, as I said, I want to have a faster crossbow, anything that has like a fast reload speed, a fast attack time, so channeling up Plasma Blast is not like taking too long. Other than that, pure fizz with LE damage with attacks, and most likely plus projectile skills, and if I can afford it, attack speed on the suffix. Helmet, I'm not sure at the moment. I'm actually thinking about speccing into the Subterfuge Mask, which gives me 2 evasion rating per 1 max ES on equipped helmet, so like a very high evasion helmet, and then just ES helmet, and that would basically help me with my going hybrid and also stacking evasion rating. For the chest, I'm thinking about a very high evasion energy shield chest as well for the evasion percentage, as well as once we get into the 4th lab, we're most likely going to take this, gain additional maximum life equal to 100% of the energy shield on body armor. So in one hand, you could say, let's just go for like a freaking 1000 ES chest or something to gain all of that life, which would technically be nice, but I think evasion is stronger. Like, if you're able to evade attacks, you don't need a massive life pull to soak up the hit, basically. So I think, like, evasion energy shield is where I want to get this build going with, for example, the Subterfuge Mask, maybe something like Spectral Ward or those kind of things. For the amulet, plus projectiles, life resistance, and anointment-wise, this should be like lasting trauma with a 20% increased duration of damaging ailments, as well as 30% magnitude. Should be a big damage increase, but it costs like, I think, like 35 exalts to do that. I actually bought the oils already wherever they are, so I already bought it, but I was like, wait, this amulet is still from the campaign, like Act 3 or whatever I bought this, and I could get a better amulet for 10 exalts. So the question is, do I want to spend like 35 exalts on this low tier amulet, or just farm up a little bit more currency and replace the amulet next for some extra resistance? Because at the end of the day, I'm still not even res capped. So this is like at the next part that I probably gonna fix like a better amulet and then get the anointment off, and that should give me like 20% more damage as what I have right now. Venopuncture I still think is a very, very strong ring. I'd rather replace my other ring with like more resistance, more life, flat damage, like pretty much the same as this one, just with like more resistance. Belt, the same thing, life resistance. Boots, life resistance with movement speed. I still think like evasion energy shield hybrid might be the thing, or just flat out energy shield, because it might be worth to take a bunch of like evasion nodes, and basically depending on how far we go with the evasion road, we maybe can take even acrobatics, because we still have like things like wind dancer and stuff like that. Belt, there is another option that I'm considering, because ingenuity got like heavily nerfed. I think something, god damn it, what was the belt called, that a lot of bleed builds use in PoE 1, Rislada's Coil, I think, with a more maximum physical damage and less maximum minimum damage, is still like damage-wise even a better upgrade than an ingenuity with like mirror tier rings in that case. And since this ring is also like very, very strong, I think we're gonna skip ingenuity entirely and just gonna have one ring. Like Venopuncture is like very, very nice because of the chill as well. And then just get like more life resistance over here. Gloves, nothing else to say, and on the queer we already talked about. When it comes to the skill tree, I think I'm fine with my skill tree right now. I added some points like this, Harness of Elements, which has 15% increased damage for each type of ailment on the enemy, and we do inflict actually all the ailments. So we're inflicting Ignite, since Explosive Shot is converting a part of the physical damage to fire, so we're igniting. We're also bleeding, which is not an elemental ailment, but still we're bleeding, and thanks to the Venopuncture, it also says all damage from hits against bleeding targets contributes to chill magnitude, so we're also chilling. And since we have lightning damage and chance to shock, we are also shocking the enemy, so we have Ignite, chill, and shock on the enemy. So this node basically gives me 45% increased damage, so it was worth taking. There might be another consideration where we would go, since we're only level 76 right now, go all the way up here, because here we could take Lasting Trauma, we could take Crushing Verdict, we could also take Heart Proving for more defense. If we opt into some more armor, we can also get Internal Bleeding for the 30% increased damage on empowered attacks and the chance of aggravating and stuff like that. So on this side, there are actually some very nice nodes, and it's not too far to go, but sadly they removed all of these like jewel slots to get in some nice dark like the darkness jewel, but this is like somewhere in the very high investment, so I don't really bother too much about that. But we could also get like an extra jewel slot, so maybe we're gonna skip some parts over here and just move out to the left socket over here and take like all of these damage nodes. That might be a plus in the books when it comes to like the end game tree more or less. Jewels and all of these things didn't really have changed at all, so I'm not going to talk about those. Gem setup, running explosive shot still with Primal Armor Man, deep cuts, nimble reload, scatter shot and fork, plasma blast with concuct, sea red, momentum and lightning infusion, emergency reload, premeditation, persistence and ingenuity, conductivity, which I never really use, is hate and curse, and focus curse. This would be something for later on with Hand of Wisdom in action. Then the Ripwire Ballista with Font of Blood, Font of Rage, Font of Mana. So we're just gonna put this one down and have the extra benefits, but I forget about that all the time because I never really use it. Then we have Bloodhound's Mark, Wind Dancer with Pin, Maim, and Blind, Herald of Thunder with Longshot, Electrocute, and Innovate, and Herald of Blood with Clarity and Magnified Effect. Clarity is pretty much useless, but it was the only aura with like 10 Spirit that had like some advantage. I need to check about like Precision or something, because Vitality I think is a 20 Spirit, and I don't really have that Spirit left over. But yeah, boys, this is basically the update on day 4. It's just a continuously grind, get currency, make upgrades. As I said, the next upgrade would be the amulet slot with the anointment, should give like a nice damage boost. And then probably gonna try to get like 1 or 2 divines and replace my crossbow just to have like a better feeling in maps overall, just for the quality of life, and to just keep on grinding, trying to finish the Atlas, to then get our passive trees, to then effectively can farm currency without abusing any kind of stuff that is going on right now. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.